it's the new Motoramic Chevrolet. What's new? Everything.
3 completely new kinds of Ford cars for 1960. A wonderful new world of Fords.
If you don't agree they're the best Chrysler's ever made, the very best America has to offer at a sensible price, then I'm in the wrong business. Oh, one more thing. If you can find a better car, buy it.
This is the old General Motors headquarters. Was this for decades and decades and decades. At one time, the largest company in the world, and its economic might here in the city of Detroit was not only well respected, but again, like we said, you know, the auto companies paid pretty well in comparison to many other industries in the United States.
You labeled the Democrat Party as the party of communism. Over 20 years, the Democrat Party has been infiltrated.
Y que hayamos hecho una revolución socialista en las propias narices de los Estados Unidos.
Here in America, that wouldn't work, and the reason it wouldn't work is because there was already a pretty healthy, thriving middle class. So you're not going to get the middle class to revolt against the system when they're all enjoying themselves in the system. So in Europe, their weapon of choice, the Marxist weapon of choice to seize control and power, was to exploit the class differences. Here in America, and owing specifically to our unique history with slavery, they were able to exploit the question of race. This is a blue state. It's a blue state largely because hundreds of thousands of voters here in Wayne County, specifically Detroit, have been tricked and lied to by the Democrats into thinking that all they have to do is just keep voting for them, and you know the poverty will turn around and things will get better, and you know the white man hates them, and you know, so you got to fight back, and that's why the largest single voting bloc for Democrats is the African American voting bloc.
We're glad to have President Biden in office because now we got to get more money out the deal.
Government can print up thousands of dollars, so why not give it back to the community?
You know, they give them enough scraps from the table, they give them their Obama phones, they give them their food stamps and the whole bit and whatever else, give them just enough so they'll keep voting for them, but not too much that they'll get smart. So they have horrible public schools, keep them kind of dumb, not intellectually dumb, uninformed, uneducated. They make them dependent on the state. That's what communism is. It makes you dependent on the state. And this is the results of what you get. I mean, if you want to know what all of this stuff looks like, this is what it's going to look like. This is what a communist-ruled area looks like. And occasionally there's a little, you know, nice, and nice is a relative term, nice in comparison to bombed-out buildings, drug houses, and whorehouses. This is what you get. This is what Marxism does. It destroys families. It destroys communities. It destroys everything in its path. It is ultimately a politics of destruction so that the few elites on top can control everything. So give them just enough to kind of keep them happy and then let everything else just go to hell. One of the ways the Marxists were so able to infiltrate the African American community here so easily is that they relied on these. Practically every block in Detroit has a little Protestant pop-up church. They got very friendly with the black pastors, and then they let their politicians come in and talk so much separation of church and state, right? That gate only swings one way. And there's another church right there. And there's another church right there. This is how Detroit is set up. All of these little neighborhoods and communities all have, and by that we mean 1 or 2 blocks, all have their own little Protestant church, and it's pastor this and it's pastor that. So once the Marxist Democrats were able to infiltrate that level, like Margaret Sanger did with the Negro Project, spreading contraception, birth control throughout the black community because she hated them.
In many cases, the very finest relationship has nothing to do with bearing a child. It's secondary. Many times we know that. You see your birth rate, you talk to people who have very happy marriages and they're not having babies every year.
That same thing happened here politically on a larger scale. Now, when they're all done, this is the result. That the pastors here are essentially many times bought and paid for by the Democratic Party, aka communists, and all they do is preach, in theological terms, they preach the Marxist message, something like Catholic liberation theologians preach a perverted form of Catholicism also, talking about social justice and everything. And of course here, in this kind of setting, the commies, because again, what do? They divide, and then they pick a bad guy and they pretend they're the saviors to the good guys. That strategy, like it worked in Europe, different set of circumstances, but over here has worked tremendously. And Detroit is mired in poverty and keeps voting. People saying, well, why do they keep voting for that? Look at these slums, these ripped up buildings, these cocaine houses, these destroyed families, these, no hope in the education system. Why do you keep voting for these people? Part of that, a very, very big part of that equation, is because the black parishes, the parishes here, have been very instrumental in keeping the communists in power. Thank you for watching The Michael Voris Show. If you'd like to watch the entire episode, please head over to churchmilitant.com and sign up as a premium member. If you need to sign up to become a premium member, go to churchmilitant.com/go premium.